And in a major setback for India, the Trump administration has revoked the 2018 sanctions waiver that allowed India to develop the Chabahar port in Iran. The move is part of the Trump administration's crackdown on international illegal financial networks that benefit the Iranian regime and its proxies in West Asia. The decision was announced in a release by the U.S. State Department. According to the release, the U.S. would sanction several individuals and entities based in Hong Kong and the UAE. Additionally, it would lift the exemptions to sanctions issued in 2018 as part of its campaign of maximum pressure on Iran. U.S. sanctions would apply to exempted countries including India starting the 29th of September. In 2018, under Trump's first term, the U.S. had exempted India from sanctions related to the Chabahar port, acknowledging its humanitarian and regional connectivity benefits. The exemptions had continued under the Biden regime. The Chabahar port in Iran is of immense strategic importance to New Delhi. The port provides India with a direct trade route to Afghanistan and Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan. It also strengthens India's regional presence and offers an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative. The revocation of the 2018 sanctions waiver is expected to affect India, which in May 2024 signed a 10-year contract to operate a terminal at Chabahar port. It may expose Indian entities such as the India Ports Global Limited to potential U.S. sanctions under the Iran Freedom and Counter-Proliferation Act. This move could disrupt India's trade with Afghanistan and Central Asia, delay development projects, increase costs for Indian companies, and compromise the port's strategic importance, ultimately straining India-US relations and impacting India's economic and strategic interests. The end of sanctions waiver for the Chabahar port also comes at a time when New Delhi is facing additional US tariffs for buying Russian oil. Trump said that he was a close friend of Prime Minister Modi. However, he would continue to impose the additional tariffs on India.
I'm very close to India. I'm very close to the Prime Minister of India. I spoke to him the other day, wished him a happy birthday. We have a very good relationship. He put out a beautiful statement too. But I said, I sanctioned them.
So as I mentioned, this move is part of the Trump administration's crackdown on what they say are international illegal financial networks that benefit the Iranian regime and its proxies in West Asia. The Trump administration has revoked the 2018 sanctions waiver that allowed India to develop the Chabahar port in Iran. Now, the Chabahar port in Iran is of immense strategic importance to New Delhi. The port provides India with a direct trade route to Afghanistan and Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan. It also strengthens India's regional presence and offers an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative. All right. For more on this, joining us live now from New Delhi is Nitin Gokhale, who is a national security analyst and author. He is also a communication specialist and a media entrepreneur as well. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond World is One.
Well, my pleasure.
All right, let's get right into this waiver, sanctions waiver that has allowed India to develop the Chabahar port that has now been revoked by the Trump administration. How do you assess this move?
Well, it's going to be a challenge for India, definitely. There's no doubt, because this is where India had signed, after the waiver was given, India had signed a 10-year lease agreement on the Chabahar port and to develop it. It has always, has invested a lot of money in it along with other partners and of course with Iran. So the whole issue here is that what from here next, because India wanted this port to be an alternate gateway to Central Asia through the INSTC corridor and then joining Mumbai port via the maritime route. But this has not happened certainly, and India, like I think the MEA spokesperson has said today, that the government is actually reviewing the whole development and probably will come up with an answer very soon. But certainly it's a bit of a worry for India that what happens to Chabahar port, because India won't get contractors and others to work there, those who have interest in the US and other international banking systems, lending institutions, all of that.
Right. Of course, we also need to talk about the broader implications of this, how this pans out going forward. That's, of course, something, as you mentioned as well, remains to be seen. That being said, what does this tell us about the US-India relationship as well? First, we see the additional tariffs and now this. So how do you think this is going to play out on that front as well?
Well, India-US relationship right now is going through a bit of on and off kind of a situation. You saw President Trump tweeting birthday wishes to his good friend Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who in turn also reciprocated the sentiment and said he's a good friend and India-US relations will further progress, or the strategic comprehensive partnership will further progress from here. But clearly, US is playing at several levels. It wants to isolate Iran, and it finds India as a important player in this politics of West Asia, or Middle East, as the Americans call it. And therefore, it is going back to the playbook which was in vogue, in fashion in the last decade. So that is one part. Second is that tariff discussions and the bilateral trade agreement is likely to progress well between India and US, according to what the spokesperson just said. And the team and the US team was here. They've had several meetings. Earlier, it was put on hold after the tariff sanctions, or 25% additional sanctions were put on India. But there is no sign of the sanctions being removed until that treaty is concluded. So that's second part of the relationship. The third is, according to everyone who's involved at the official level, at the officials level in the India-US discussions, it's going on as usual. It's business as usual as far as the two sides are concerned. The bureaucracies on either side are going ahead with their discussions, the number of plans that are being put in place, whether it's in defense sector, whether in science and technology, whether in trade. So it's a bit on and off relationship. The US is blowing hot and cold, India is playing it cool. And perhaps all this will get clarified and clear in another couple of months.
All right. Well, Mr. Gokhale, thank you so much for joining us on WION World is One with your insights on this.